Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Claire Bannerman and I'm the roving chef for Scotland for Vegetarian for Life. So a big thank you to Queen's Cross Housing for hosting this event for me today. So I'm quite fortunate that I live in the Queen's Cross Housing area, so it's nice to see some familiar faces. So I say I work for Vegetarian for Life, and we're a national charity covering the whole of the UK. And we support older vegetarians and vegans, but during lockdown we've been doing our online demos to share our nice vegetarian and vegan recipes. So on our website we've got a couple of free resources. You can order these free or you can download them to your computer. So we've got Cooking for One, which has got lots of nice wee vegetarian recipes in it. We've also got our vegan rescue pack, so perhaps you're supporting somebody that's vegan, you're maybe interested in vegan diet, or what a lot of people do is they do the vegan challenge in January. So we've got the rescue pack, which gives you lists of things that vegans would eat, things that they don't eat, but also there's menu planners and recipe ideas, so that's a vegan rescue pack. And our new guide that we're really excited about, which has been really well received, is our vegan baking. So I'm no Mary Berry, I'm not a fantastic baker at all, but the recipes in here are super simple. So recently I've done the chocolate brownies, the banana cake and the Victoria sponge, and I was so pleased with the Victoria sponge, it turned out amazing. And I can highly recommend the banana cake. It's so soft and moist and it keeps for like a couple of days, it's absolutely brilliant. So as I say, they're available on our website, which is vegetarianforlife.org.uk. So today we're going to start off with our corn carbonara. So it's a wee bit different to your standard bacon and cream carbonara, so I'll just talk you through that. So the recipe calls for shallots. So normally I use banana shallots that I get in my local Tesco's, but they didn't have any at all. They only had these tiny little shallots, the little British ones. So the recipe calls for 2, but because these are so small, I'm going to use 3. So I'll get my pan on the go, on the heat. So you would normally cook this in just an ordinary pot, but I'm doing it in a frying pan just so you can see into it a bit easier for demo purposes. So I'm using olive oil here, and the only reason I've got Napolina Fancy brand is because it was on special offer in Tesco's. Any supermarket own label olive oil will do nicely, so we'll get that going. So I'm going to start off with my mushrooms. So the mushrooms that I've got are chestnut mushrooms, and the reason that I like to use the chestnut brown ones is they're a bit more flavour, but you could use the white ones, no problem at all. So these mushrooms are rich in vitamin D, and new research has shown that reduces your risk of COVID, so that's something to bear in mind. So I'm just going to roughly chop these. Just for demo purposes, I'm going to take the stalks off. It makes it a bit easier for me to chop them. So if you didn't like mushrooms, you can leave these out. My mum does this dish with some red pepper, so it's completely up to yourself what you want to put in it. Just going to roughly chop these. So on our website, we also have our pen pal scheme. So perhaps you're wanting to make new friends and contact people all over Britain. We've got our Veggie Pen Pal scheme, so you can register for that free as well. So we've also got our Festive Delights guide. So if you're looking for some inspiration for some new side dishes and nice bit of bacon to try for Christmas, we've got our Festive Delights publication, which is available to download free as well. So we'll get our mushrooms frying off. So the reason that I cook my mushrooms first, I cook these separately because I find that if you cook the mushrooms all the way through the dish, what sometimes happens is your sauce goes a bit grey and it doesn't look so attractive. So I just cook out my mushrooms on their own, and then I'll just pop them in a wee bowl once they're cooked. As I say, I'm going to use my shallots. So these are like mini onions, but a little bit sweeter. But what my nieces have been saying to me, I was telling the guys last week that when I cook with my nieces who don't like chopping the onions and shallots, they say it makes them cry. So I'm going to leave the bottom on. So the bottom of the onion's the root, or as I was saying last week, my nieces call it the wee hairy bit. So we're going to leave the wee hairy bit on. We're not going to chop that off.
Hi, Carol.
Hi.
Hi, Carol.
Hi.
By the end of this, it will be making me hungry now after that.
Was it just the two of us?
Yeah, Donna as well.
And Donna.
Was other Cecilia? Is she no there? No. She no on? Donna? No. It's a shame.
Sorry, Clara, you want us to mute just now
Yes,
and then have questions?
that would be best. Then we'll have a chat at the end.
Right, can everyone just press mute and then we can have a chat later on?
Right. Okay.
So if you can get shallots, or if you like my mum, she's got arthritis and finds it really tricky to chop shallots and onions, you can use the frozen onions. Frozen onions are absolutely fine for this. So mushrooms are softening off nicely. These are quite fiddly, these tiny wee shallots. I like these pickled onions, they're quite tricky to peel and chop. So if you have any suggestions for anything that you'd like us to cook in the coming weeks, please let Donna know and she can contact me if we've got any suggestions. We did have one suggestion last week for Eve's pudding, so I got my granny's recipe off my mum. So generally it's a top secret recipe, it's a family tradition, so we'll be sharing that with you and passed down through the generations. So the mushrooms have softened off, so as I said, if I leave them in, they tend to make the sauce quite brown, so I'm just going to transfer them to a bowl and we'll come back to them in a minute. So I'm going to add another spoonful of oil. So this looks like there's quite a lot of oil in this recipe, but the oil in the flour is going to form our sauce, so we won't be adding any more butter or cream to this, so don't be too scared about the amount of oil you see me using there. So just my final shallot. To say these ones really are a little bit footy for chopping. Normally the ones that you get from Tesco's are called banana shallots, they're much bigger. So the shallots are a bit milder than onions, but a slightly more sweeter flavour. Just turn my heat down a bit there. So just my final half shallot here. That's it. We've also on our Facebook page, we've got a couple of my other colleagues have done some demos as well. So our Facebook page is Be for Life, and there's other recipes. My colleague Alex, he's done the chocolate cake from the vegan baking guide, so you can have a wee watch of that if you like. So we'll just get our shallots frying off in the onions there. Can't speak to them, saying shallots fried off with onions. Shallots fried off with the olive oil. And we'll let them soften off. So these cook much quicker than onions as well. They soften off really quickly. They only really need a few minutes in the frying pan. Get them softening off nicely. So to add flavour here, I'm going to add garlic next. So I've got Tesco's garlic at the moment, which has got really big fat cloves in it. So the easiest way to open your bulb is just to lean on it and the cloves will pop out. So these are really nice big ones. And then the easiest way just to get your skin off again is just to use the flat of your knife and just to pop your cloves down. And then just chop either end off. But again, no problem using a shortcut here if you want to use lazy garlic, you know, the stuff that's in the tube or the jar. Absolutely fine to use that. I'm a big fan of the stuff, the B&Ms and Home Bargains, the Celia was saying earlier she likes to do her seafood dishes. I absolutely love using stir fries with the wee puree jars of garlic, chilli and ginger from Home Bargains. It's so quick. Just chuck it in the pan. So I say, I absolutely love mushrooms, but if mushrooms is not your thing, go ahead and substitute that for something like peppers. So I think the easiest way to prepare garlic is to grate it. So I'm using the fine side of my grater. So it's not the zesting side. If I was using the zesting side, it would just stick. So it's the fine side that I'm using here. And I'm just going to go ahead and grate my garlic. These are nice big fat cloves that we've got here. And go ahead and add that to the pan. Just scrape out your grater. So if you are grating your garlic, I would recommend washing your grater right away because the garlic tends to stick to it and dry on a little bit. So it smells lovely as soon as you get that garlic in the pan. Love the smell of the shallots and garlic softening off there. So with traditional carbonara, it's normally bacon or the chunky ham. So what I've got is some corn ham. So this is quite a new product, so it's suitable for vegans and vegetarians, and it cooks really quickly. So it's a smoky flavour that it comes from it as well. And this one's just bought from a local Tesco's, and they've price matched it for Aldi recently as well. So it's quite an unusual looking product. So I think it reminds me of like chopped pork that you used to get at school. So it's in the slices, so I'm going to just dice this down. So you can have this as chunky or as fine as you like. When my sister does this for my nieces, she likes to add extra sweet corn to this. So it's one of these dishes that you can experiment with and try different things in it. So I've just roughly diced that. So now we're going to start to form our sauce. So I've reduced the heat down a little bit, and I've got 2 tablespoons of plain flour. So this is just bog standard flour that I'm using. So just get that moving about your pan and get that all the oil and the juices for the shallots and the garlic. So you see there that it starts to coat it. So you need to keep it moving about quite quickly or it'll stick to the bottom of your pan. So what I've got next is some soy milk. So again, if you were going for the standard version, you could just use ordinary milk. That's not a problem either. So I'm just going to cook out the flour, but it's sticking a little bit, so I'm going to add just a little bit of my milk. So if you see a recipe that says to form a roux, basically roux is your melted fat, normally butter, but we're using olive oil, along with the flour, and then you just want to cook this out just for a minute or so. So just keep that moving about your pan so it forms quite a thick dough consistency to start with. And then we'll just slowly add our milk a little bit at a time. So if you wanted to spice this up as well, you could add a little bit of chilli to this, that would be nice as well. You guys were saying earlier that you like prawns. I imagine you could do a prawn version of this as well, it would be absolutely lovely. So just take your time here to add your milk and just get that all coming together nicely. So once the flour starts to cook out with your milk, it will start to form a nice thick white sauce. So again, this could be the base for just like a normal parsley sauce to go with any other like side dishes that you wanted to do. So if you were doing this at home, take a couple of minutes to really cook out your flour, because you don't want to have that kind of like raw chalky flour taste. So that's thickening away nicely. So what I've done in advance is I've got some linguine. So linguine is just like flat spaghetti. The one that I had the other week there was Tesco Finest. This is just the standard Tesco brand, and you don't need to buy fancy ones. But I must admit, the Tesco Finest one, you really could taste the difference. It really, really was nice. It was still cheaper than your Napoli brand, so I would just stick to your supermarket own brand. There's certain things that I will buy branded products for, but I do find for just your store cupboard ingredients, there's no need to spend a lot of money. So I've cooked that in advance, just followed the pack instructions. So when you're cooking pasta, a lot of people just waste olive oil and put oil in the water. There's no need to do that. If you just cook with lots of water and then a splash of salt, there's no need to add oil to it. So this is thickening nicely. So to add a bit of freshness to this dish, we're going to add some flat leaf parsley. So if you can only get curly parsley, that's absolutely fine as well. So if you're using the bags of fresh herbs, make sure you wash them first beforehand. And if you've got loads of herbs left over at the end, you can finely chop these and add a little bit of cold water and pop them in an ice cube tray, and you can freeze them off for using later on for soups and casseroles and stews and things. So I'm just going to go ahead and chop some of that. So I'm going to use the stalks as well, just roughly chop this down. So if you couldn't get fresh herbs, you could use the dried herbs as well. You would just reduce the quantity that you were using. So I've just roughly chopped it, then I'm just going to rock my knife back and forward just to get a nice fine chop there. So that's our ham and our parsley chops. Our sauce is really starting to thicken up now. You can see it's like the consistency of it's almost like thick porridge now. So I'll go ahead and add in the rest of the liquid. So when you get to this stage, you'll think that you've got too much liquid and it's too thin, but don't worry about that. This sauce will thicken up as it cooks out. So I'm just going to turn my heat back up, and as this starts to simmer away, the flour thickens with the oil. So this dish will keep in your fridge for a couple of days, but when you go to reheat it, you might need to add an extra little bit of milk. It really kind of thickens up quite a lot when you keep it in the fridge. So this is one of the few things that I do. It's not suitable for freezing. I wouldn't freeze this dish. So we'll let that cook away. So as that's cooking away, we're going to go on to our cheesecake. So I've got cheap and cheerful biscuits. I think I should maybe be a spokesman for some of the supermarkets. The digestive biscuits are made in Toll Cross, and my friend works in the factory. And the ones that are 35 pence that are Tower brand and Lidl, and the Molly's ones and Tesco's that are 30 odd pence, they're £1 cheaper, and they're absolutely fantastic. There's no difference. So you could use a rolling pin. I'm just going to use my graph here, and I'm just going to bash these down. So excuse me while it gets a wee bit noisy. So I'm just going to give my sauce a wee stir here and turn the heat down a little bit and just let that simmer away. So all the garlic and the shallot flavour will start to penetrate the milk and just form that nice glossy sauce. So the cheesecake that I'm doing, it's not the type of cheesecake that you can cut into slices. What I do is that I make it in a glass. So it's more like a pudding, if I'm honest with you, rather than your traditional cheesecake. So I'm going to take my crushed biscuits, pop it in the bottom. So it's up to yourself how thick you want the base. You can have as little or as much as you want, and you could even do it in layers. It's completely up to yourself. So I'm just going to turn this heat off altogether and give this another stir. It's thickening up nicely. Okay, so for the biscuit base, I've just got some, you could use margarine, you could use butter, you could use whatever spread you have, flora, stock, anything will work for this. And I say I'm shopping at Tesco's at the moment, so I've just got a Tesco spread, so I'm just going to take a spoonful of this. And I'm just going to melt that in the microwave. So this will only take about 10 or so seconds just to melt. So just keep an eye on that, depending on how hot and how strong your microwave is. But just keep an eye on it, maybe check it every 10 seconds. So our sauce is thickening up nicely. Okay. So in my microwave, it's only taken about 15 seconds for that to melt. It doesn't take long at all. So we'll go ahead and add a spoonful to our crushed biscuits, a couple of spoonfuls there. So you just want enough of the butter to coat the biscuits, and you don't want it to be too wet. If you have too much butter, it tends to make the base a little bit soggy. So once that's coated, you would just press it down. So really any glass that you have, I've got these little ramekin dishes that I do them in sometimes. If you want to do smaller portions, I'll sometimes do them in a little ramekin dish like that. So really just whatever you've got. So once you've got your butter and your biscuits mixed together and it's firmly pressed down, I would recommend popping that in your fridge for half an hour just to chill off. So my sauce is looking lovely and it's really starting to thicken up now. So you'll see that it's nice glossy sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and add my mushrooms back in at this stage. So it will thicken up a bit more once you add your mushrooms and your corn in. So I think if you were doing this recipe with prawns, probably what I would do is, like your mushrooms, I would cook your prawns, take them out, make your sauce, and then add them back in at the end again. So because we've used the oil and the roux and our soy milk here, and we've got quite a lot of olive oil in this, there's no need to add any cream at this stage. The sauce is creamy enough. And then we'll go ahead and add in our parsley just to finish off. So this is a super simple dish. It literally takes minutes to cook this. And at this stage we can add our seasoning. So I've just got a little bit of sea salt, just a couple of grains in there just to add a bit of seasoning. And then I've got some ground black pepper. So because the mushrooms are cooked, we're just literally letting the corn warm through here. So for the cheesecake that I'm doing, I used to always buy Lidl's soft cheese, it's like their version of Philadelphia, but I've recently found this one in Tesco's. This is the Tesco's Creamfields brand, and I cannot believe how cheap it is. It's like less than 50p a packet, so it's absolutely fantastic. The Philadelphia with herbs that I bought the other day, it was $1.99, so I couldn't believe the price difference. It's like even like a quarter of the price. So this is just a plain, full fat, soft cheese, which my niece calls fake Philadelphia. So we're going to add this to my bowl. This is for the cheesecake. So normally your cheesecake's got whipped cream in it, which is really high in fat. It's about 40% fat. So what I normally use is thick Greek yogurt. The stuff in Lidl's really thick and creamy. Comes in a great big tub. Super value, but it's about 10% fat. So the 40 down to 10 is a big saving. But I just found this last week. It's absolutely fantastic. It's Skyr brand. It's spelled SKYR. It's an Icelandic yogurt. So there's no fat in it at all, and it tastes absolutely fantastic. So we're cutting out the fat completely from this dish. So let me see how much fat we've got in our cream cheese here. Oh, sorry, maybe that's why it's so cheap. Oh no, wait a minute, here's the nutrition at the bottom. 20% fat in this cream cheese. So we've gone from 20 plus 40 down to 20 plus 10, and now we've got 20 plus nothing. So that's really good. So the good thing about this as well is it's really high in protein. It's really thick and creamy. You can see how thick it is. Absolutely lovely. So add a big spoonful there, and we'll mix that together. So this is something that you can do if you've got grandkids or younger family members. Get them involved in the kitchen. It's so simple for them to make. It tastes absolutely delicious, and it's so easy to make. So what I like to do is prepare it the day before, and then I top it with my mandarins just before I'm going to serve it. So as I said, this is a citrus cheesecake, and the thing that makes it citrus is it's got lemon curd in it. My mum's not a fan of lemon curd, so she uses strawberry jam. I love lemon curd, I absolutely love it. It's great on toast and pancakes and everything. It's brilliant. So I've spent a bit more money on this one. Again, it's still Tesco brand, but it's the Tesco finest one. If you use the cheaper ones, they're too thick and they come out in a big dollop that they won't mix through. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of spoonfuls. So you can see there that it's quite a runny sauce. And we'll just mix that together. So one of the guys then, I was doing a session for a group in Ireland that were based in a place called Swatra in Derry. They suggested that you could make this boozy for Christmas time, and you could put some limoncello in it. So I thought that was a really nice idea. So you could really flavour it up. And what my mum likes to do is grate some dark chocolate on it, or either sprinkle a little bit of crumbled flake on it. You know. So take your base that's been in your fridge, and then we'll just go ahead and pop in our creamy top in there. This is quite a generous portion that I'm giving myself, but I think I need a treat after my poor family having COVID and being in isolation. I've been running around after them. And I'd say we've cut out 40% of the fat here. So it's still a treat because we've still got the butter and the biscuit base. So what I normally use is canned mandarins, but for some reason supermarkets don't have them at the moment, but what they've got is Nature's Finest mandarins in a little plastic tub. These are double the price, but they're really nice, sweet, juicy mandarins, but it's all I could get. But again, you could decorate this with any fruit that you like. So I'm just going to pop a couple on the top. You can really just decorate it however you like. You could cover it all, or just have a few on top like I'm doing. So back to my carbonara. This is really thickened up now just by heating through and sitting there. The sauce becomes really thick and glossy. So as I say, I've prepared my linguine before. I've just prepared a portion for myself. This is going to be my dinner, and so we'll serve this up. So you can just have it served as a dollop on top, or if you prefer, you can take your pasta to the sauce and completely toss it around and coat it. So super simple recipes for you today, guys. Nice, super quick recipes. So that is my mushroom and corn linguine and my super simple citrus cheesecake. So thank you so much for joining me today, guys. It was lovely to have you with me. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask any questions. It doesn't have to be just about what we've cooked. It can be about anything to do with food at all, so don't be shy.
See your soya sauce, your soya milk,
Yep.
is it unsweetened?
Good question. It should be, but I couldn't get any. This one is a sweetened one, but it was the only one I could get. So for savoury dishes, try to get the unsweetened one.
Right.
But that was all. It was all I could get. So I was hoping nobody would notice that.
No, well, obviously I don't. Now I'm kind of new to the vegan stuff, so I don't know if I wasn't sure if it was sweetened or not. Or
Yeah, for savoury dishes, I would go and use the unsweetened ones definitely. Because the chocolate pudding that we did last week, you can do that with the sweetened soy milk, or you can do it with almond milk or coconut milk. It doesn't really make any difference. But again, that was all I could get. That was what they had in my local Tesco's.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm looking forward to trying these recipes, actually. I want to try. I've put on a wee bit of weight in the last couple of months, so anything that's less than fat and stuff like that would be great.
Well, the actual yogurt, what I like to do is take the yogurt and just mix some lemon curd to that on its own, and then have it on top of like granola for my breakfast. It's absolutely lovely. It's such a nice, or even with some fresh fruit salad. And I've also been using this in smoothies. One of my friends he's got right into the bodybuilding at the moment, and he's vegetarian as well. So he's looking for healthy protein sources. So when I make him a power smoothie, I put this yogurt in it as well.
Yeah, right. Good. Thanks.
Thanks for coming, Celia.
I enjoyed it.
How long would you cook the prawns for?
And prawns are just follow the instructions in the packet. Literally a couple of minutes just to warm your prawns through. You would just fry them either side, really stir fry them in your pan with whatever spices or herbs you like, and then you can just put them in at the end. I wouldn't cook the prawns in your sauce because it would break down. I would just stir them through at the end, Carol.
Right, because I've never ever cooked prawns. I've always just eaten them raw. Another question, what's the difference between shallots and onions?
Your shallots are sweeter and milder. I was saying at the start, what you missed, Carol, was normally it's a banana shallot that I use, and it's kind of this shape. It's like an onion that's been squashed at the ends. So they've got a slight pink colour to them, so they're milder and a little bit sweeter, and they cook quicker. I could only get British shallots that are like little round, like onion size at the moment. So the recipe calls for 2 shallots, but if you can only get the round ones, I've used 3 of them because they were much smaller.
Right, okay. Next question I meant to ask, what's the Facebook site?
Our Facebook page is Bee for Life.
Life, actually. Right, that's doing
Is that it? Bee for Life?
Yeah, Bee for Life. And if you scroll down quite far, back down to about May and June time, my colleagues have got a couple of baking videos, and there's a meat-free 101 taster session that Alex is doing. And if you're ever interested in trying to make your own vegan cheese, Chef Ollie shows you how to make cheese as well. So that's quite an interesting demo. But I must admit, I've never ever tried that myself. I'm not vegan, I'm vegetarian. I love cheese too much to become vegan.
And what was the other thing you said with the smoky bacon? What was it? Corn?
Yeah, it's corn, yeah.
Right, that's
so this is from Tesco's. It's smoky ham that's made by corn. And this is suitable for vegetarians and vegans. And so when I seen on the price mark at Tesco's, they said they've price marked this with Aldi, so I'm assuming that you can get it in Aldi as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Hi Claire, as you often kind of highlight, cooking on a budget is so important. Can you tell us how much your recipes cost today in total?
Yeah, so the vegan your vegan ham is less than £2 a packet. My mushrooms, I tend to find quite a huge price range in mushrooms depending on where you buy them. Lidl can have them for 80 pence. Generally Tesco's are about £1, but other supermarkets, you're talking about £1.50 for them. Marks and Spencer's is crazy price, they're like £1.75. So because I'm doing most of my shopping in Tesco's, I'll tend to go for their mushrooms that are £1. There's a big variation in the price of your soy milk and your oat milk and things. The brands like Alpro and all your kind of Oatly brands, they're so expensive. So I just buy the Tesco one. But if you buy the ones that are not chilled, that are in the packs that are just on the shelves, they seem to be much cheaper. So rather than spending £2 on a carton, you can get a carton for about £1. But I think Home Bargains and B&M's do cartons of your soy milk and that quite cheap as well.
Is there anything else that can be used in place of soya milk? I believe, if my memory serves me right, that soya isn't good for, like, I've had breast cancer, so soya isn't good for taking.
I'm not sure about that. We don't make any specific health claims, Carol, but I could look into that. But again, you could just use standard milk or you could use oat milk for it.
I like goat's milk.
Yeah, goat's milk would give it quite a strong taste. That would actually be really, really nice. Actually, goat's milk would go well with that because it's a nice and savoury taste to it, the goat's milk. I absolutely love goat's cheese, and when I tried to become vegan during the Vegan January challenge, I tried out all the different milks, and I tend to like the oat milk because I find it nicer in like coffee and cereal and stuff. But again, I found a lot of these plant-based milks, I didn't like it in tea, so I was still taking a little bit of ordinary milk and tea. So it's just getting something to your own taste, that everybody's different. But the coconut one's delicious in a coffee. If you're making a latte with the coconut milk, it's absolutely beautiful.
Claire, if you have time, would you mind picking up a packet and talking us through the food labelling and how the colour codes work, if you don't mind?
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah, let me see if I've got it in. Yeah, it's got traffic lights on it, yeah. So if you guys can see that, can you see that? There's like a traffic light running down.
Yeah.
So the traffic light system has been developed to make shopping easier for people. Because normally you would be looking at the back of the packet and you'd be going, 2.5 grams of fat per 100 grams. So that's 2.5%. So you're going, well, is that high? Is that low? I don't know. So if it doesn't have the traffic light and you're looking at the wee table at the back, you're always looking per 100 grams so you know what the percentage is. So when you look at the front of the corn pack, it's telling you that the fat, the saturated fat and the sugars are telling you they're green, so you can eat that as often as you want. But because it's smoky, the salt's quite high in it. So the salt's 1.7%. So anything that's above 1.5% is classed as high. So it's only 0.2%. But again, it's not like you'd be eating this dish every day. So if you were keeping an eye on your salt levels, you would know that that was red. So it was something that perhaps if you had high blood pressure. So it makes it really simple for you to look at. So anything that's green, you can basically eat as often as you want. Anything that's amber is kind of in the middle ground. You could eat that from pretty regularly. But if stuff's all red, you would know you would just be having that as a treat. So as I was saying, we realised that the fat content on the cheese is 22%. So that's just on the borderline for something that's high in fat. But for cheese products, that's quite low in fat. So this is one of the kind of healthier options. But they don't actually put the traffic light on that. But on most supermarket owned brand stuff, they will put the traffic light on it. So I think it's just easy to remember. Green for go and red for stop. Yeah, pretty straightforward.
I like the fact that it's proportions as well. If you're on your own, that's good for me and for Ma.
Yeah, definitely. So that's where our wee recipe book would be good for you. So you can get these on our website, but I can send you the link directly for that, Donna, the wee one booklet, and it's
That'd be handy.
I can get that sent out to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
All these recipes I can put on our Queen's Cross Housing Association Facebook and Instagram page as well.
Yeah, perfect.
So you can have access to that as well, guys.
Oh, good, good.
I'm
Look forward to it.
trying the cheesecake. My favourite.
That same.
So same thing, Carol, what alternatives would you put in your topping for your cheesecake rather than mandarin?
Other than mandarin, probably blueberries, something like that.
That'd be nice.
Blueberries, raspberries, strawberries.
I would try pear.
Well, that'd be nice.
I like pear as well.
I'll just show you, I'm just going to pop it in my freezer and I'll show you the bags of fruit that I got the other day there.
Are they quite good, the packets of frozen fruit? Because, you know, I don't buy a lot of frozen fruit, so.
I'm the same.
So I got these mixed summer berries from Lidl, and if you were using that in like a smoothie or something, you can just use it directly out the freezer. Your blender's strong enough to blend them frozen. But if you were using this to like top your yogurt or to top your cheesecake, what I would recommend you to do is to thaw it out overnight and then just drain off of the excess juice, because once they're frozen, the kind of juice comes out of them. But these are absolutely delicious on top of cereals and things like that as well, or in the wintertime porridge. So that's these are cheap as anything. Farm Foods is doing 3 different bags for £5 at the moment, and they're great if you live yourself, just for taking a portion out. And it's nice just to have a wee bit of fruit salad along with something else. Delicious on top of the chocolate pudding that we done last week, so it's they're really handy to have in your freezer.
Did I have that recipe?
I just found them quite sweet. I used to buy them years ago, and I just, in comparison to the fresh stuff, I just find them very sweet.
Ah, yeah, right. They shouldn't be sweetened at all. Maybe it's just they're picked in season. My mum and dad are a big fan of blueberries.
I love them.
I must admit, I was really surprised how good the strawberries are this week, because obviously Scottish strawberries are the best in the world, and you would get them like July time, so we're way past the summer growing season. But Tesco's are selling strawberries that come from the Netherlands at the moment, and they are absolutely fantastic. They are so sweet and juicy. They're some of the nicest strawberries I've had in a long time.
Right. Okay. Do you have a vegan cranachan? The Scottish cranachan?
I think there is one actually.
What's that?
A cranachan, you know, the Scottish dish that's done.
It's like
done with
oats and stuff like that, isn't it? It's oats and
honey. I need to have a wee look at our website, Celia, but I'll have a wee look. We can probably try and do that one week. I'll have a wee look to see if I can find the recipe. I'm not sure off the top of my head if we've got one on the website, but I'm sure I would be able to find one that we could use as a substitute. There's when I was doing my classes before, I would do a similar filling with the cream cheese and the yogurt to reduce the fat in it. But you can get loads of like dairy alternatives or non-dairy alternatives for cream, so there'll definitely be a vegan option of that. So I'll have a wee look and see.
All right, thank you.
So next week, I think it was yourself, Carol, had asked for Eve's pudding.
Yes, I bought 2 when I was in Mark's earlier on, and it was
what pudding?
I thought, just in case.
So my mum has released her secret recipe to me, so I've never actually made it myself. It was always my dad that used to make it around about Halloween time. We would pick all the apples off his tree in his garden. I used to get bags and bags of apples off them, but they've moved house now, so I've not got all this source of apples. So I'll have a wee practice over the weekend. So is there anything else you would like to try along? Like, is there another savoury dish that you fancy trying and to go with the Eve's pudding?
I'm trying to think.
I've got lots of apple in my freezer. I got for the allotment, so.
Well, perfect for making your own Eve's pudding rather than buying one out of Marshall's. But I know how handy it is sometimes just to buy a ready-made thing, though.
What about chilli? No.
Chilli? Did we do chilli the first week, Donna?
Oh, did you? Right.
I think we did chilli the first week.
Chilli non-carne.
Yeah, we did chilli the first week.
All right.
But Donna, I'll be able to give you the recipe for that.
Yeah.
I made them
Just try to think of something.
I made them yesterday, and I've frozen them. I made quite a wee batch.
Oh, perfect. That's great.
Rather than doing one. So that's handy. That's me get a few dinners, especially when I thought we might be getting into lockdown, which we are.
Claire, can I ask, are you still doing your food and hygiene qualifications?
Myself,
You personally, you still delivering it?
no, because of the lockdown, I've not renewed my membership this year because of the lockdown situation. Everybody's just been doing them online. There's been,
Right.
I've not had any inquiries for it at all. And I'd say my membership, I just let it lapse because everybody's just been doing them online.
Okay.
Right. What about something like, say, sausage casserole?
Aye, quite happy with that.
When that's, you know, like years ago, it was sausage casserole or, what would you call it? Where you would put the potatoes and all that in.
Hot pot kind of thing?
Oh,
Yeah, sure.
Especially for the winter.
So I think what I would do is, if I'm doing the Eve's pudding in the hot pot, that's 2 dishes that I need to cook the night before to show you what they look like. So what I'll maybe do is do the hot pot the following week with another simple dessert. I'll maybe do the hot pot with flapjacks. So would something like a stir fry be okay for you guys next week?
Well,
Right, that's perfect. Stir fry, fine.
Lovely. So
good man, ignorance, what's a flapjack?
So the flapjack's like a oaty biscuit. So normally they're baked in the oven, but my colleagues developed a recipe that you don't need to bake them. So it's a really nice nutty oaty recipe that the kids absolutely love it. It's a wee shame my niece is allergic to nuts, so she can't eat it, but our wee sister, she absolutely loves them, so she gets double quantity of them.
She.
So we'll go for a stir fry and Eve's pudding next week, then the following week we'll go for a hot pot and the flapjacks, if you guys are okay with that.
That's fine. I'm quite happy.
Yeah, it sounds lovely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it was so nice to see you guys again, so thanks for joining us. And again,
Yeah,
if
thank
you have
you.
more questions or if you need any more information, just let Donna know and I can get them to you. And I say I'll do a little bit of reading in my nutrition notes for you, Carol, just to find out what the best dairy alternatives are for you for soy.
I'm positive the soya. The other thing I was asking Donna, if maybe something about chickpeas.
Yeah, I've got a lovely recipe that I actually just made today. I'll just grab it out of the fridge and show you it.
Because I've got tins of chickpeas and I don't know what to do with them.
I've got them as well, and I don't know what to do much.
So if you can see, this is what I made with my Irish group this morning. This is mushroom and chickpea curry, so we could do that one week as well. This is my friend from India actually taught me this recipe and taught me how to make the rice. But because we did the rice the first week, probably what I would do is like mini naan breads to go with this one.
Okay.
So we could do that on the 3rd week then, if you guys are fine with that.
I'm hungry.
I know. I'm hungry now.
Well, some of that and some cheesecake, my favourite.
Well, normally we
And yet, you said you were going to homemade rice.
Say it again, sorry.
You were going to make pudding rice?
Oh yeah, the rice pudding, yeah. So when we do the curry, we can probably do the rice pudding then. So I'll take a note of these. I'll need to try and remember this. I'll write it all down so we can do that.
Well, thank you. It's dead dark and cosy.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys, and take care and stay safe and well.
And you too.
Not too bad for you, and I'll see you next week then. Bye now.
Right. See you next week.
Bye, Carol.
Bye, Donna.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Carol.
Bye.
Bye.
See you tomorrow at my
Oh, see you tomorrow. Aye, I forgot about that. I better
Well, I
remember.
forgot about the days. I need to mark it up.